Alright, so the box office numbers are in for the opening weekend of Christopher Nolan's newest film, The Odyssey, which, by the way, I do have a movie review up on the channel right now that you can go watch, where I break down this film fully with very slight spoilers. You know, I avoided them for the most part. You can check that video out right here and go see what we had to say there in that video. But let's talk about this opening weekend. Let's talk about its weekend debut at the box office in terms of numbers for The Odyssey, because let me tell you, it's very big. This movie is breaking records right now. Let's dive into it right now, starting with this. Okay, The Odyssey debuts with $264.1 million at the global box office, the biggest opening ever for a Christopher Nolan film, and the production budget was $250 million. So right out the gate, right, this movie made back and surpassed its production budget, which is huge. Okay, huge news for this film. It's easily one of the biggest films of 2026 so far. But of course, that's globally, right? Let's talk about what it did domestically while also talking about what this means in terms of covering its production budget already in the opening weekend. So check this out right here. It says, breaking: The Odyssey has recovered its entire budget in 2 days. The film's worldwide box office already brought in an estimated $257.8 million globally in its opening weekend. Domestically, Nolan's latest is looking at 120.5 million 3-day debut, setting career records for both Nolan and Matt Damon. So huge news not only for the director Christopher Nolan, but for its lead star Matt Damon, who of course plays Odysseus very well inside of this movie. And yes, as we stated in that first slide that I showed you guys, this was the biggest debut of Nolan's career, surpassing the Batman films, if you could possibly believe it, right? Because those films were huge. Those were monumental achievements in Nolan's career. A lot of people know him mainly for those movies, and specifically, that's where I first got to know Christopher Nolan as a director. I also spoke about that in my Odyssey review. Again, make sure you go check that out. But check this one out right here, okay? Just to bring up the numbers in comparison to his Batman films and to his other huge global debuts at the box office, okay? So biggest worldwide opening of Christopher Nolan's career. Number one, The Odyssey with $264.1 million. Of course, the numbers are going to be a bit skewed here from here and there, right? These are all general calculations for the most part. Now for the next one, it says The Dark Knight Rises with a $249 million debut at the global box office, and The Dark Knight in third place with $198 million, which is personally my favorite Christopher Nolan film, The Dark Knight, okay? But I really think people were underestimating how big this movie was going to actually be, especially considering all of the controversy, all of the hate train surrounding this movie. It really skewed a lot of people's opinion, brainwashed them, if we can even say that, definitely manipulated their opinion going into this film. You know, a lot of people walked in to see this with a lot of preconceived notions about what this movie was going to be, even though the movie hadn't even released yet, right? This is the opening weekend that we're talking about, so that was all ridiculous. We spoke about a lot of this on the channel already. You can go watch all my past videos for The Odyssey in the build up to the release of the film. I mean, it was flooded in my comment sections. It was flooded in a lot of other, you know, movie reviewers and movie content creators' comment sections, just flooded. Tons and tons of comments, mass psychosis, I would like to call it. And I'm glad we're kind of over that part now that the movie is actually out, and we could just discuss the film in terms of, was the film good or was the film bad? Okay, and in terms of for an IMAX release, because obviously that was like the huge selling point for this movie, was that Nolan filmed this entire movie in IMAX 70mm, not just a scene, not just a sequence like most films do, but the entire film. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look at that, because it says right here, The Odyssey had the second biggest opening of all time for an IMAX release, grossing $51.8 million, only behind Avengers Endgame. Okay, so very impressive stuff here all around the board for Christopher Nolan, for The Odyssey, and for everyone involved with the making of this movie. Couldn't be more happy with the way this one turned out. Okay, going into it, I had a feeling it was going to be a banger. I had a feeling it was going to be a great movie because I covered a lot of the behind the scenes stuff leading up to it. So I knew all of the work that went into the craft, that went into making it. So I'm glad to see it actually pay off. You know, everyone seems to be loving this movie for the most part. The audience, the critics, both sides. Film Twitter's going crazy right now, basically saying like, wow, y'all really tried this movie of all movies to take down, and it obviously didn't work. right? And I couldn't be more happy about that. A lot of people's integrity, including mine, was on the line with this one in terms of, will this actually be a good film or not? And yeah, I think on the other side of it, we could say it's a good film. Again, people have their right to dislike a movie, to critique a movie, to just not like something, right? That's perfectly normal. That's perfectly fine. But it was all the stuff going into it ahead of time that really, once you watch the movie, had nothing to do with the film for the most part. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the box office news, okay? The global box office, the domestic box office for the Odyssey. I'm curious to see what this movie is going to do in the future, in the next coming weeks. Is it going to cross $1 billion at the box office? More than likely, it's looking like it, considering it's already 1/4 its way there in just the opening weekend. And ticket showings, especially for the IMAX showings, are sold out for weeks and weeks straight, especially like 70mm. Unless you're choosing to sit in the very, very front, you know, there's not a lot of choices in terms of seating over the next couple of weeks for the 70mm IMAX showings, and even like the standard IMAX showings, right? Those are sold out too, especially everywhere around me from what I'm personally seeing. It seems though that the standard quality, like just, you know, the normal quality that you would watch a film in, those are the ones that aren't selling out. Those are the ones that you could just go get a ticket for and watch this movie if you really wanted to see this movie right now. But in terms of seeing this in the best quality as it was intended, in terms of seeing this in IMAX, sold out everywhere, and I'm impressed. Okay, I am impressed. I was definitely worried as to how this would perform at the box office, considering I was seeing not a lot of showtime selling out, but the good word of mouth is causing a lot of people to go out there and get their tickets for this movie. And I would highly recommend you do the same. If you haven't seen this movie already, I want to see it for a second time. I'm more than likely going to see it for a second time, so I couldn't be more excited about that. And let's wrap the video up with this hilarious post that I've been seeing everywhere right now, especially on Twitter because it comes from Twitter. Check this one out right here, right? So the gas stove said, just finished watching the Odyssey, this time in Paris. It won't cross $100 million at the box office because of the casting. Bookmark this post, and then directly under it, right after it, within the same 24-hour frame, it says the Odyssey is now tracking to pass 257 million in its worldwide opening weekend. Biggest opening ever for Christopher Nolan's film, as we talked about earlier in the video. Just hilarious, the contrast there, the different world that the hate train people were living in for this film, right? But anyway, guys, like I said, those are my thoughts on this box office movie news for the Odyssey. Let me know your thoughts on this movie news down in the comment section down below. If you don't know what we do here on Demigod ENT, we do film, TV, and pop culture based content. If you're interested in this type of content, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.